God bless you all. This is Greg.
This is John.
Hey, we turned it around.
We
thought quick on your feet. I surprised you with that one, didn't I? Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hey, so we're going to be picking up where we had, we're building this building a few videos ago. So we're back to this picture of the GC2 house. You can see that on gc2.life. We've just done the first floor. You've just probably listened to the biblical basis for me and Jesus and the principles of me and Jesus in much more depth. So by way of review, though, the building site, we could boil that down. Remember, we removed the trees in that one video. Love. What two ways do we need to love? We need to love God. How do we do that?
Follow Jesus' commands.
There you go. Speak louder. What? Huh?
Following Jesus' commands.
Be confident, young man.
Speak boldly.
Yes. What's the second way we love?
Loving one another.
One another. How?
Helping we disciple one another.
That would be the outworking, but as Jesus loved us.
As Jesus loved us, yes.
This is the foundation of where this ecclesia is going to grow. And it's his. He's going to build it. We talked about that in the ecclesia. This is not our church. We don't have a denomination. We don't have an organization. We're just followers of Jesus. We're disciples that want to help other disciples. And then he tells us this verb, Matthew, and we know what a disciple is, John 8:31, one who has his words and keeps them, right? So this is the soil in which this building is going to be built. What's this represent? What the foundation is the words of Jesus.
Yep.
I can't remember how many scriptures we used to
for that one. Oh boy, jeez. 8, 10 at least. Yeah, 8 to 10, I think.
So if Jesus said it once, that's enough for me. But he went way beyond that. From the Great Commission, teach them to keep my words or observe all my commands. Mm-hmm. John 7 or Matthew 7:24, he who has my words and keeps them over. He reiterated that. You've seen that video. The foundation for the building, which is the cement, the thing that it's sitting on, is the words of Jesus. The beautiful thing of this is you're never going to get off doctrinally.
That's true.
If we just do what Jesus said, we're going to have revelation. We're going to be safe doctrinally. We don't have to make anything up. No fancy sermons, 3-point sermons, man. He says, love your enemy.
How do you do that?
Let's just talk about that for a second. Then we talked about, which you've just been watching the videos of the first floor, the importance of me and Jesus. Man, I just hope that has blessed you and set you free. If you have from here down, you're going to be good. If you get imprisoned and you've got Jesus and you can't get with nobody else, but you got him, man, I hope to God if you get arrested, you can get a Bible. Then you have his words. Yep. If you have from here down, you're going to be.
You're good.
You're good.
Yep.
You and Jesus, you're alive. You're born again. His love is in you. You can communicate and commune with him. But we got to keep building this building. So this is by way of priority, not by floor number. This is the first floor, but the priority, this is first. Yep. The second priority is the words of Jesus. The third priority, the first floor of the building, is me and Jesus daily, spending time. Now we're going to talk about a thing that I sometimes have a little caution with. I'll tell you why as we're going. We're going to deal with the second floor. The second floor of this building. But if you know anything about a building, which I'm assuming that you do, you got stairways, right? To get up, I know that's a bad stairway, but we got a doorway. If you're going to get to this second floor, you got to go through the first floor. So you're going to walk up these stairs in the building concept to get to the second floor. In other words, what good is a building without the first floor?
Be pretty hard to get into.
Which, I mean, a building without a first floor, what is it? I mean, so if there's no first floor, you can't build a second floor. And if we have that understanding of the ecclesia and the expressions, If we don't have the first floor, what good's the second floor? It doesn't exist. It can't be built.
Right.
So if we're understanding that it's built from the bottom up, and access to the upper levels is through the lower levels. The first level that's built on the foundation, because if this wasn't built on the foundation of the words of Jesus, right, it would crumble. So we're moving up. The second floor, this one is me and Jesus. If that's all you can do, that's fine. But if I got another brother near me, then I need to be about discipling with him. I have to be about this mission because it's the Great Commission. It's the last thing Jesus said to do. Mathetuo, make disciples. This whole process is discipleship. But now, if it's just 2 or 3 of us, we could say me and you. This is spending time intentionally together, using the words of Jesus, having spent time with him alone first. Now, because I can and because I love you and you love me, we're gonna, in this context, help each other love Jesus. We're gonna hold one another accountable to obeying Jesus. We're gonna nurture each other. Have a relationship that's authentic, it's real, as men. And then we're going to be talking about the words of Jesus. And actually, how are we going to obey those words? Not good enough to know them, right?
Right.
So Jesus said in that Great Commission, he didn't say, teach them all my commands. That's not the teaching. Teach them to observe. At this level, brothers, iron sharpening iron, we begin to say, look, how are we going to follow Jesus? So we have me and Jesus, the first floor. Me and you is that second floor. Now, here's my caution, is because I've been around a lot and taught in a lot of places. And there's a tendency to want to take this floor out and use it in the traditional church setting, where we have this big group, and the pastor's well-meaning. He doesn't want people to leave the faith or leave his congregation either. So they'll want to take this component out and kind of use it like a church growth thing as an option to many people. And the mentality turns into a program mentality instead of an organic life together in the body. So I give caution with that because we use the term DNA for it. And it's not meant to be a standalone. It's meant to be part of a whole of the expression of ecclesia. Does that make sense? Or is there anything you would want to add to that or say to that?
No, I mean, because that's, it could be pulled out, and that might be just as far as it goes.
Yeah.
But you're really not gonna, because when you get into those realms, then if you miss a week, you miss a week, right? I mean, all this, we'll get it next week.
It's not that high of a priority.
Right. The priority isn't there. Now, when you look at it as I'm discipling you, you're discipling me, we're living together, we're trying to, have community, and we've got more brothers that we meet with.
Yeah.
It's, we don't miss.
Right. So in the traditional church setting, it's the big group that's the main thing that's visible. And so if that's the priority, and so many people say, well, they know that the things that we're saying are true. But the reality is, what are we really treating as the priority? Is it the Sunday morning experience? Is it coming to that big group, being a part of that organization? Or is it sharing life together, following Christ as brothers, regardless of where you might go on a Sunday morning, right?
Yeah.
But here we're talking about a holistic expression of ecclesia. These levels, really, for an ecclesia to be healthy and growing and vibrant and hearing the Holy Spirit, these levels, if they're working together, are going to create a dynamic, larger group that we'll talk about in the next about 3 videos. We'll talk about that. But me and you I'm not even going to put the term up here, DNA, but it's purposeful. There's questions that help us
Yep.
that we created to help guide a discussion. Over time, you begin to form a bond in Christ, a bond as brothers. And man, when that starts to grow and other brothers start to come into it,
Yep.
the number of people in it, I think, is significant, and I should talk about it. 2 is the minimum.
Yep.
Jesus says in his word in Matthew 18, we don't need to read it, but it says, wherever 2 or 3 are gathered, and we gather in his name because the word of Jesus is the focus.
Yep.
We spent time with Jesus all week. We're coming together for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's called transformational obedience. We're being transformed as we help one another obey, is a good way to put it. But 2 at the minimum. 5,
You're reaching the limit.
you're starting to reach a limit just because of natural human communication patterns. It's really hard to follow the nonverbal signals,
Mm-hmm.
the things that are going on in a group. If it starts to get 5 and above, the more open, talkative people become more talkative. The quiet people begin to recede back and get more quiet.
Yep.
Some of the best times I've ever had was 2.
Mm-hmm.
3 is a very good number. 4 is wonderful because it means probably somebody joined, and
Yep.
5, and it gets exciting, but the dynamics can shift after that 5 number. So for human purposes and biblical purposes, we see this model with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus had his inner circle of 2 and 3.
He did.
Peter, James, and John. They did way more than anybody else.
Yep.
Paul had this with Timothy, with Silas, with Titus. We see these small groups there.
Yep.
You go back into the Old Testament, you see it there, Moses and Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You see a core developed there. You see Elijah and Elisha. You see this principle all through the scriptures. And so we don't want to get too big here. We always get excited when there's more. Oh man, there's more people. But then you know that you're going to have to reproduce then, because it really needs to be an intimate experience with just a few men, and it's not meant to be a big gathering.
Yeah. The last thing you want is to have somebody just go quiet.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And I'm a perfect example of that because generally speaking, I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've noticed that with you as our DNA that we have on Thursdays has grown. We're let me see, the 3, 4, 5, and then we got a guy on video now.
And you never know who
and
might show
another guy
up.
Who's come, he's a new believer in Jesus, and we're excited. So I've noticed that with you. When there's more, you're definitely quieter.
I'll pull back.
Yeah. So we've designed a tool to help guide discussion. It's not meant to be rigid or legalistic, but it's helpful. And so it helps move through these questions. What was last week's command? What's this week's command? How can we take care of each other, pray for one another? So this is the second floor, but in priority of importance, this is first, this is second, this is third, and this is fourth. Man, if I had this, man, I'm really good.
You're good.
I'm really, really good. If I have from here down, I'm going to be able to follow Christ. I'm going to be able to thrive. I'm going to be able to really learn and grow, be challenged, be prayed for, be healthy, have a place I could call home that's safe, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So we've had some wonderful times in DNA, what we call DNA, at this level, me and you. Really, really, it's so important. In how many places, man, they're packed full of people, but this doesn't exist amongst the people. Okay. Anything else you want to add on that?
I think we got that one.
All right. Building site, the words of Christ. The first floor is me and Jesus. Second floor, importance. As you go up, most important. Boom. All right. God bless you.